Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another episode of the strategy series. This time we're talking about how to beat Piccolo Surge. This video is probably a bit long overdue, but you guys out there playing your online tournaments, playing with your friends at home, this is probably going to be a pretty important video. It's one of the most powerful decks of the current format, and with how generic the leader is, I can't really see it getting power creeped anytime soon, so you're probably going to want to know how to combat it. We're talking about that in today's video. Guys, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. Lots of free ways you can help out. Maybe watch an ad, maybe like a video. And if you guys want to buy the cards you see in today's video, make sure you use my link down below in the description to TCG Player or Beard Collectibles. That being said, let's get right on into this video. So we're starting off talking about what Piccolo is trying to do to you, because how could you counter it if you don't quite know what the deck's doing to you? That's one of the most fundamental ways to learn how to counter the deck. So the leader in itself is a powerhouse. I talk about this a lot. Your leader, this format, has to be the workhorse of your deck, and this leader is no exception. On the front side, it gets incredible consistency. You get to look at the top card of your deck, decide if you want it or don't want it, then put it to the bottom. Then you basically draw 2 cards for your turn. On the Awakened side, once per turn, during either player's turn, because it is activate battle / main effect, you have the ability to do one of 2 things when you're at 3 or less life. You can either rip 2 cards out of your opponent's hand, make them send them to the warp, or you can choose a multicolor battle card in your drop area, put it in your energy, ignoring energy exhaust. It has to be blue-green. So more often than not, they're going to rip the 2 cards out of your hand because they are typically playing hand control decks, but they're not always playing hand control. Sometimes they're just playing true control. So the 2 different types of Piccolo you'll probably come up across are either successor blue-green-yellow variants or pure blue-green hand control variants. Now, the blue-green-yellow variants are abusing a lot of really powerful green-yellow cards, a couple of which being the All-Out Assault Super Saiyan Broly, the Arrival for green and a yellow. You can either tap a card and then draw one, so you can either tap a leader, tap a battle card, tap an energy, or you can KO one of your opponent's battle cards that is a greater cost than their current energy. You're oftentimes going to go into the Super 17 Hellstorm Unleashed, which when you play it with Successor, your opponent crits down until they have 4 life. Does a lot of other powerful stuff, really powerful stuff. And the Piccolo leader never has to attack you, so they can leave you at 8 life and then just go into this card. The only thing that really stops Super 17 are Frost Poison and Cold Bloodlust. We're going to talk about some other strategies you can use in order to combat this. And then you have the blue-green variant. One of the workhorses of that is Son Goku and Son Gohan Sands of Earth. Blue-green Arrival, when you play it, put one of their battle cards in their energy, and then your opponent discards a card. On top of that, you have like the 18 super combo, you have the Cells Kamehameha, you have the Piccolo Special Beam Cannon. All these cards, just pick cards out of your hand on top of the leader, which inherently will rip 4 over the course of the game. So there are some of the things that Piccolo is trying to do to you. Let's talk about different ways we can combat it. So you want to have these different answer cards in the form of Giant Ball, Chomp of the Trickster, Ultra Instinct on Goku, Mutato Skill of a Sage can be really good because they are dropping really big bombs on you. They are typically playing control, whether it's hand control or blue-green-yellow control, and you want to have your different answers to a lot of different boss monsters. We just talked about the Super 17 Hellstorm Unleashed, which when it attacks you, lets them draw a card and tap 2 of your cards. So they can crit you down to 4, then swing, tap down your open energy, and that can provide a really big problem for you. So a card like Giant Ball is amazing for stopping the Super 17 from doing the other half of its really devastating effects. You're going to prevent them from attacking, prevent them from drawing, prevent them from tapping out your things, and stop them from swinging with a 30k beater. Now, UI Goku and Chomp the Trickster are good for other reasons. They are oftentimes to go into the Cells Xeno SCR in the blue-green-yellow version, and that card has Deflect. So Giant Ball is not going to work on the Cells Xeno SCR. You're definitely going to want your Chomp the Trickster or your Mutato Skill of a Sage in order to try and combat that one card, because it is a secret rare, but the deck is ultra consistent, draws tons and tons of cards, so they will most likely drop it on you over the course of a game if they kind of go impeded in their strategy. So you definitely are going to want a card like Chomp the Trickster or Mutato Skill of a Sage. Ultra Instinct Son Goku is an excellent card if you can manage to get all that abundance of energy, like if your deck ramps or if your deck just has the ability to float 4 energy. This is going to be great for a few reasons. So one of which, it answers all the cards we've talked about already. So it answers the Super 17, answers the Cell Xeno SCR, and it removes them from the board, which is really important for the lower stuff, particularly for the Super 17. If you can UI Goku bounce the Super 17, it's very unlikely they're going to drop it against you again for the rest of that game, because it costs them a pretty fair amount of resources. It either costs them 3 battle cards, it'll either cost them 3 3-drops, or a 6-drop and a 3-drop. So that's 2 battle cards right there. Cost them 3 energy, and then they drop the Super 17. If you UI Goku bounce the Super 17, yeah, you'll get self-awaken point, but it actually could be beneficial to you to be able to self-awaken, then you'll get a 20k body onto the board, and then you're going to prevent them from going up their successor chain. So counterplays like this and all different counterplays you see out there are really good. But even a card like Mach Speed Kaioken Goku, if you're playing Cooler, for example, that could be really good as well, because you can hit their smaller successor stuff. If they have a Vegeta the Cruel on the board, or maybe their own Trompa the Trickster, they can use that to go into their successor cards because they are green and or yellow cards. So any counterplays you can use to remove their stuff to prevent them from using successor is going to be to your favor. Next up, we're talking about removal options. So the first one I want to talk about is Battle to the Death. For me, in Red Yellow Surge Goku, this has been an absolute MVP card. So firstly, we talked about it a lot. Super 17, one of the pivotal cards of their deck. They're going to crit you down to 4 life. Battle to the Death allows you to take those life so they don't get critted. But the removal is incredibly important, because if you're removing their pieces, like I said, the 6 drops and the 3 drops, Battle to the Death is amazing for removing SS Broly All Out Assault, because if you can deal with that card, they're going to have a much more difficult time going into their successor chains, and they have to invest quite a bit of cards into the Broly itself. They're investing at least 1 card, maybe 2 cards for the arrival, a fair amount of energy for the 25k body. Battle to the Death is a 2 energy answer to their 2 energy 25k body. It's really good economy there. Then you have Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Son Goku Concentrated Destruction. Man, that's a mouthful. So the activate main is really good. If your leader's red, pay 2 red, minus 25 a barrier. So again, you're dealing with the SS Broly All Out Assault all in one shot. And the auto when you play it is really good as well. Choose all of your opponent's battle cards, 20,000 or less power, KO them. This is great. Once again, if they have a field full of Vegeta the Cruels, Trompa the Tricksters, the Android 15 they play on their turn when they combo it into play. So a lot of good answers in the form of removal to a deck like Surge Piccolo. You definitely want to have your fair share of removal. Next up, we're talking about a few weirder cards. After Image, Shocking Death Ball, they do have pretty good purposes. So for example, a lot of times in these Piccolo decks, they're going to be attacking you with the 1-drop crit Newfound Power Son Gohan. They're going to have that whether they're playing the blue-green version or the blue-green-yellow version. It's very popular in both versions. So Shocking Death Ball, after Image technique, removes that card in one fell swoop. Because what happens a lot of the time is they're going to drop the Newfound Power on their turn 2. They're going to swing with it, go for a 15 crit, take 1 of their life. Then they're going to leave an open energy back to your turn. Now, let's just say you attack your leader into the Newfound Power. That's going to be their perfect time to do many things. They can either combo into play the Android 15, take up to 2 life, get another 3-drop on the board for their successor plays. They can also protect it with Cell's Earth Destroying Kamehameha. That is a 1 energy 15k combo. They can go up to about 20k power easily on that Gohan. And, you know, you swing at it for no reason, basically. They get to rip a card out of your hand. They protect the Gohan. They use it again next turn. So, basically, the point is, After Image and Shocking Death Ball both remove those cards, which are pretty powerful. I don't really see many green decks playing Shocking Death Ball right now. And it's actually a lot better than I think people give it credit for. So, for that reason, it's really good. After Image, also really good because that Android 15 is pesky. They are going to combo it into play and then try to use it for their successor plays later on. So, After Image removes that card in one fell swoop as well. SS Vegeta Exploiting Weakness, not one of the most accessible cards in the format by any means, but it is really powerful. Very similar to the Concentrated Destruction Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku. Just minus 20s all their stuff. You could like play it offensively, minus 20 any of their Vegeta the Cruels, any of their Trompa the Tricksters. Then if like let's say they swung with their Broly would be 5k, you can kill it then. Maybe you have another way to minus 5 something. This card is just so good for removal options. You want to have removal options both offensively and defensively against the deck. Next up, we're talking about Aggro, specifically talking about Majin Buu and Reboot Gohan Aggro. So I talk about this in a few videos. One of the main points of Aggro this format is to exploit multicolor decks. Basically, when you charge your multi-turn 1 as the multicolor deck, whether you're Surge Goku, whether you're Piccolo, whether you're Red-Green Broly, whatever the case is, these Aggro decks want to take advantage of you tapped out on your turn 1. And it's really easy for them to do that, especially if they go first. Imagine a Reboot Gohan with 2 energy, the amount of things they can do as blue-green. They can go for infinite 1-drop crit attacks with Senzu Bean. They can use their own Earth Destroying Kamehameha. They're going to go for that leader triple strike. They can go for it on turn 2 if they have the Self-Awakeners. So they can actually go super aggressive on you while you have your 1 tapped energy. Boo is the same thing, but even going first, you can get pretty aggressive, or going second rather, I mean, because you're going to be able to potentially drop Turles on that turn 2, and now with the new Nagrishi from Draft Box 5, that's a potential of 4 attacks for 0 energy on that first turn. It gets pretty nuts. So there are a lot of ways these aggro decks can really put a hurting on those multicolor decks. And then a few more things I want to talk about. We've got A few more draw power cards. So Universe 9 Assemble, Frost Before the Storm, and Great Ape Sun Goku Saiyan Instincts. These are cards that I did a video on earlier this week for budget alternatives, specifically to Great Ape Sun Goku Saiyan Instincts. So if you can't get your hands on Saiyan Instincts, definitely go check out that video. But these are all really great draw options in terms of outdrawing the hand control that Piccolo might put on you. Universe 9 Assemble, you don't really have to play the Universe 9s. You can just pay 2, draw 2. Frost Before the Storm, I've talked about it. I am a really big fan of this as a mana sink. You pay for 1, and then over the course of the game, every turn, you pay 1, you draw 1. You pay 1, you draw 1. You're not going to be using too much energy against them offensively anyway, because of all the energy they have at their disposal anyway. So having that mana sink is really, really good. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Great Ape Son Goku Saiyan Instincts, one of the best cards against Piccolo. But again, if you can't get your hands on it, there are other good options that are on the screen here and in that video that I mentioned. And then finally, this is a little bit of a weird slide, but we'll talk about these cards. Beerus Godly Majesty. If your opponent makes you discard a card with the Son Goku and Son Gohan Defenders of Earth, you play it, so it's a free body. That's pretty neat. And then Jiren Survival of the Fittest, counterplay, play this card, draw 1, and cards in your hand can't be returned to your deck by your opponent's skills for the turn. This is a neat counterplay. It's probably not the most applicable, but it is kind of neat because you can turn off their Android 18 super combos, amongst other things. So guys, these are a lot of the cards that I've come up with to help you guys combat Piccolo. Let me know in the comments below if you have any more suggestions. It's always kind of like a community thing. Just leave your comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you next time.